Time to re-up YouTube. Your boy Young Mustard is back with another video. Today we're going to talk about the team that I thought was going to be the best team in the NBA, and you could still make that argument when they're fully healthy. That is the Milwaukee Bucks. If you remember, I predicted the Bucks to be #1 in the league on my season preview. I titled it, I think, Giannis is the reason why, or something like that. But regardless, unfortunately, they're not really living up to the standards that I thought they would have this season. And that's not to say that they're not having a relatively good year. They're second in the Eastern Conference, and they started off the year 9-0. They've had some bright spots throughout the entire season, but unfortunately, since that 9-0 stretch earlier on, they haven't looked like the same team. And it really makes me wonder, because there are times I watch this team and visually they just look so gross and disgusting, and Giannis is a part of that. I am not going to absolve him at all. It sometimes gives me flashes to the old Milwaukee Bucks team, even though they're obviously not the same team, but I'm more so just talking about the aura that they give of being frauds. And in today's video, we're going to address that. Are the Milwaukee Bucks back to being the fraudulent team that they once were when they had that smelly, disgusting NBA player known as Eric Bledsoe? But before we get started with this video, if you are not subscribed, what are you doing? Hit that subscribe button ASAP, just like that. Also, do not forget to hit that bell for post notifications, because you can stay updated with any single piece of content that I drop on this channel. You don't want to miss it. And don't forget to like this video. But without further ado, let's get back to the subject of discussion and talk about the Milwaukee Bucks, because I have a lot of things to say. For starters, the Bucks this year have been a great defensive team, which has been kind of like the thing with them over the last couple of seasons, especially since Coach Bud has entered the scenario. I mean, when you have guys like Jrue Holiday, Javon Carter, Brook Lopez, Giannis, it's no shocker that they're one of the 5 best defenses in basketball. Brook Lopez right now looks like the defensive player of the year. If I'm not mistaken, he averages around nearly 3 blocks a game. I believe he leads the league in blocks per game. He's been insane with his rim protection this season. Throw in Giannis, who's one of the best help defenders in the league. You could ISO Brook Lopez, pull him out the paint. Once you blow past him, Giannis is right there to meet you at the rim with the help defense. You have Jrue Holiday on the perimeter, one of the best perimeter players in the league, can fight over screens, move his feet laterally, get in passing lanes, clamps on the perimeter legit. Javon Carter, also a really underrated defender in his own right. And think about it, Chris Middleton has barely played this season, and he's a positive defender in his own right. So that's just a testament to how good those other guys are, and how they can uphold this team's defense. But that's truly not the problem with this team at all. It actually is their offense, which is so surprising considering what the Bucks have been in recent years. This is a team that, since they hired Coach Bud, has been a top 5 offense consistently in either points per game or offensive rating, or even both. But take your guess where the Bucks are right now in points per game and offensive rating this year. Are they top 5? No. Are they top 10? No. Are they top 15? No, they're not even top 15. They are 17th in points per game and offensive rating. That is not going to get it done for a team that actually has championship expectations. And it's so weird, because when you look at everybody individually, they're all putting up relatively decent stat lines. Giannis averaging his over 30 points per game, and even though he's been struggling as of late, and we're going to get to that, he's still having a good season offensively. Jrue Holiday is playing well, some of the best basketball of his career. Brook Lopez is shooting over 40% from 3 and over 50% from the field, and averaging around 15 points per game. Javon Carter is shooting 38 points per game off the bench. Grayson Allen is shooting a high volume from 3 and is still knocking down, I believe, over 43% of his shots from behind the arc. The only person I would say that would be disappointing a little bit offensively is Bobby Portis, as he's shooting below 30% from behind the arc, and he's kind of supposed to be a stretch big. It's weird how him and Brook Lopez just swap powers with their 3-point shooting this year, but hey, it is what it is. Nonetheless though, outside of Bobby P, there are a couple of other disappointments with their play. George Hill, I don't expect too much from him, but even when he plays, I don't know really what he does. He's not a good floor spacer anymore, and defensively, he's not a liability, but his size can be exploited. And the same thing goes with Pat Connaughton. He was definitely one of the more improved players on this team over the last couple of seasons, but this year has been a complete no-show. He has not been good on either side of the ball this year, especially offensively, because I'm already not expecting that much on the defensive end. Out of the guys that are getting legitimate minutes, and I'm talking about 25 plus minutes a game, those guys are playing relatively decent and up to their expectations, if not even superseding them. So what is the big problem with this Bucks offense? Well, for one, Chris Middleton has barely played, and when he has played, he hasn't looked that good. As in the 7 games that Middleton has played this season, he is averaging a measly 11 points a game, 4 assists and 3 rebounds, as well as just less than a steal, 32% shooting from the field though, and on 6 attempts from behind the arc is shooting 27% at the 3-point line. Middleton is a big part of their offense, especially on that wing. He's a guy that can go out there and do basically everything. He can play off the ball, he can play on the ball, he can operate the pick and roll, he's a good ball handler and decision maker. He's not really great at getting to the rim the way he used to, but he's a great floor spacer. He can knock down the mid-range shot, he can do the turnaround, pull-up fade, he can do a lot of things in his bag. People really underrate how good of an offensive player Chris Middleton was in his prime. And I say that because there's a good chance that we may never see that Chris Middleton again. I'm just saying. Middleton is 31 years old and is coming off of a pretty noticeable injury that has knocked off a lot of time in his career so far this season. I'm just going to be real here. We have to face the possibility that Chris Middleton might be aging. It was only 7 games, so I'm not going to jump on Chris Middleton and say, oh my God, how can you play this poorly? But I'm not going to have super high expectations for an aging player who is coming off of a pretty major injury in his career. And it's very obvious that has affected this team to a huge degree. Jrue Holiday is now the number 2 option, and in all reality, he is not a number 2 guy. At best, he is a number 3 guy, as they showed in the 2021 playoffs when they won the championship with him being the 3rd option. That then also alleviates more pressure on a guy like Brook Lopez to be the number 3 guy, when we know in all actuality, Brook Lopez is not no damn number 3 guy on a championship team, and so on and so forth. That puts more responsibility on everybody else, and these games will usually just come down to, is Giannis gonna drop 30 and is everybody else gonna live up to their standards? And usually that does happen, but it's very easy for that not to happen when everybody game plans for Giannis, which leads me into a big issue that I've had with Giannis this season. Giannis this year has had a relatively up and down season. He's in the MVP conversation, obviously, and when I say this, I'm not saying this to be biased towards Giannis. I mean, hell, you guys see his jersey on my wall. I have no issue with Giannis as a player. He is my favorite player in the league. But unfortunately, I'm not going to lie, Giannis does have some issues with his playmaking, and a lot of those issues just stem from the fact that Chris Middleton is not there, but they have to be prepared for that scenario not only in the regular season, but potentially come playoff time, because who really knows? We saw what happened last year, and it's kind of picking up where it left off this year so far in the regular season. Giannis sometimes does bull rush into the paint, and there are times that he does miss some easy reads to his teammates on the perimeter. And I'm not saying Giannis is not a good playmaker, that's not what I'm saying. I'm just saying there are times that he does have lapses in his judgment, and it'll result in these banana peel turnovers, whether it's like a travel, whether it's just a double dribble, or he charges into somebody, or it's him just dribbling the ball off his foot or something. Giannis does have some very careless and reckless turnovers that are so detrimental to the momentum of this Bucks team. And that's one of the reasons why I think offensively this team is struggling a lot more than they should. Giannis does need a second guy that can go out there, create his own shot, and create offense for himself consistently. Jrue Holiday is good at doing that, but he's not a number 2 guy. He's not supposed to be your second option if you want to have a top 5 or even top 10 offense in the NBA. And I'm not saying it's impossible, but if we're talking about real championship contention, that kind of offense is just not going to work come postseason time. As we saw last year, Jrue Holiday's flaws were easily exploitable by that Celtics defense, and it was a big reason why the Bucks lost that series. Now that then brings me to the title of this video. Are the Bucks frauds? Because when you see them face a team like the Celtics, like they did on Christmas, or even the Nets, where they got just stomped by Brooklyn. One of the concerns I really have for this team isn't even a Giannis, Middleton, Drew thing at all. It actually is a Grayson Allen thing. I like Grayson Allen. He's a good floor spacer, plays with an edge as well. He's been doing that ever since college. But the problem that I have is that he is so bad on defense, and I'm very afraid for those nights that he's going to be terrible offensively, where he's just not making his shots like he did in that Celtics series, and then they're still giving him minutes because Coach Bud doesn't know how to make adjustments to save his life. Jevon Carter should actually be getting a lot more minutes than he does at times, because I understand that Grayson Allen is a floor spacer, but Jevon Carter is shooting the ball very well this year. Like I said earlier, he's shooting 39% from behind the arc. He's a nice passer, and on top of that, he's a good defender. So I really don't know what the obsession with giving Grayson Allen so many minutes that Coach Bud is infatuated with. If I'm the Bucks, I'm definitely putting Grayson Allen on the trade block. If I can get a 3-and-D wing out of him, I definitely would, even though that is easier said than done. It really makes you wonder, is this team really championship worthy? I mean, they've had injuries throughout the whole season. Drew Holiday has missed some games. Chris Middleton obviously has missed the majority of the season. Hell, even Giannis has missed some games here and there. I'm gonna still say no. When you have a player like Giannis, who is still one of the top 5 players in the NBA, I don't think that you can just overlook that, combined with the supporting cast that can play some of the best defense in basketball. There's still a top 5 defense in the league, and Chris Middleton has barely played. That helps not only their defense, but obviously their offense. The Bucks right now definitely need another level of shot creation. Chris Middleton should provide that when he comes back. I expect him to get back into full form, but like I said earlier, I would not be surprised if this is just the beginning of Chris Middleton's decline. He was already kind of on that decline last year, and this year he's barely played due to an injury he suffered in the postseason last year. And with him being 31 years of age, I definitely am a bit concerned about his play going forward for this team. But I'm not going to hop off my Giannis agenda just yet. You could argue the man is the MVP of the NBA this season. Even though I would disagree with it, he is still in the conversation. Part of this problem also comes from the fact that I believe the Bucks do not care about the regular season as much as they used to. It's very obvious that after they lost to the Heat, if you actually watch the games, there are times that they just don't care about even playing defense until it actually matters, obviously come fourth quarter time, and even offensively they'll be very lazy as well with some of the shots that they take. Their offense is very disgusting, I'm not even gonna lie to you. There are times where Giannis will just bull rush into the paint, try to draw a foul, try to get to the rim, but by any means necessary. And then there are times when he can't do that. He'll pass it to some shooter like Grayson Allen, and he'll drive in for some floater that he'll brick at the rim because he's not like that. Drew Holiday as well. He'll try to do some moves back down a player because he is relatively strong, or he'll do some sidestep 3. Sometimes it'll brick, sometimes it'll go in, but we all know come playoff time, that kind of offense just isn't going anywhere. Doing these end of the shot clock passes to Brook Lopez for a contested 3, that's just not going anywhere. Waiting for Giannis to get stuffed at the rim so he can pass it to Grayson Allen so he can drive and miss it at the rim, that stuff's not going anywhere. Doing handoff moves with him and Jevon Carter, that stuff's just not going anywhere. And sure, things will change with Chris Middleton, but like I said earlier, I am very skeptical. But you guys let me know your opinions down below in the comment section. Do you think the Bucks are frauds? Let me know. Do not forget to like, share, and press that bell for post notifications. This is your boy Young Mustard signing out. You guys stay safe and have a blessed day. I'm out. Peace.